Social level we need everything. He says, I am not the punya, I am not the papa, I am not the holy act. I have no vanity. I am not proud of the acts which I am performing. Just labeling them as holy. So just I don't want to expect any merit out of it. And also I am not sinful because as a living being, as an integral part of this nature's law, I am bound to commit certain acts at physical, emotional and intellectual levels, and they're bound to cause harm to other fellow living beings. I'm not talking about the intentional, deliberate, malicious acts. Just I'm referring to the acts which happen naturally and which will cause harm in the nature's course. Suppose I am breathing in, breathing out every moment, and millions of microorganisms are getting into my system and they are getting killed. I can't consider this a sin, because if I consider, I can't live, and living is my right. So he says, I am not the punya, I am not the papa, I am not the sukha dukkha. It is understood that every punya leads to comfort, sukha. The result, the outcome of holy act is sukha, comfort. But in practical world, it is not always like that. However, conditioned you are, however, committed you are, you bound to, encounter something, painful, and with which you are not very comfortable. It so happens, if at all every holy act produces a certain comfortable results, all the holy people, they should have been very happy people. But in history, it didn't happen. All the holy people suffered a lot. All the pious, noble, committed people, they suffered a lot in the society. And in certain cultures, they were stoned to death. So this is all, history, culture, and social systems, institutions. This is not our subject. What I am saying is, our Acharya says that if at all we want to grow as a spiritual person, we should not get caught by these narrow ideas. The third line of this stanza is very, very powerful. He says, Aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhokta, he says. We should not interpret this very literally. Bhojanam is act of eating, bhojyam is food, and bhokta is the person who is consuming food. But, here interpretation is very different. Acharya says figuratively that he is not the enjoyment, enjoyable, and also enjoyer. See, even it is a poetically, figuratively beautiful expression. He has stuffed a lot of meaning in this single line. It's really a beautiful, incredible, expression, brought out by the Acharya. It's a crowning glory of the whole song, Nirvana Shatkam. At every moment, we undergo this threefold process. One is enjoyment, enjoyable, and the enjoyer. If we look at something, if we see, smell, taste, hear or feel something which is supposed to be the enjoyable, we try to derive the enjoyment out of it. That enjoyment we enjoy inwardly with our mind, through the senses. After some time, the enjoyable doesn't provide the enjoyment at expected levels, turning the enjoyer or reducing the enjoyer to the level of what? A painful hell. The enjoyable is providing us a momentary happiness for a certain period of time. For that particular period, the feeling of enjoyment is lasting. After that, it is gradually fading or deteriorating or coming down, reducing the enjoyer to the level of lifeless, painful, miserable hell. So every moment we are becoming full, and the next moment we are becoming hell. Every time this is happening. So Acharya says, something which cannot fulfill your urge permanently, it can't be the source of enjoyment. So I am detaching from the very source that you consider as enjoyment. So the feeling which doesn't last forever, and the feeling which gives the sense of fulfillment in the beginning and reduce you to a miserable hollow the next moment, that feeling is not the feeling, but it's just illusion. So I am detaching from the idea of enjoyment. So Acharya elevates himself with this knowledge, discarding all this threefold process: enjoyable, enjoyment and the enjoyer. To understand this concept, we need to be very thoughtful or very, very attentive. So just try to understand, try to explore these ideas and rise yourself from the common level of existence and try to attain the bliss, eternal bliss, which is referred to as Shiva in this immortal song, Shiva Oham. Birth and death are contradictory, illogical. Between these two illogical points, all of our logic is operating. Please think. We are very logical, rational. We are very, very intelligent, smart. Before we make any decision, we weigh all the pros and cons. We make scientific study of all events, technical study of all events. We are very careful, calculated whatnot. But all of our logic, please, I want to remind you this, all of our logic, in-depth logic, is operated between two illogical points, that is birth and death. We never think of death because it has no logic in it. When we think of death, we turn illogical. Nobody will think of death because the very thought of death is illogical. So is the birth. We don't know how our parents come together, when they fall in love, when they meet mates, a birth takes shape in the womb of a mother. This happens without our intervention, without our conscious knowledge. So without our conscious knowledge, we emerge from the mother's womb and we see the society. So Shankara says, as long as there is a concept of birth, there is a concept of death, life happens.